Hello, this is Debbie, and this is Light Up Your Worth. I'm so excited today. I know I say that all the time, but I am in love with everybody that I bring in here. And so I am so excited to bring in my friend, Tammy Morrison, and to bless us with her presence and the knowledge that she has learned. So, Tammy, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so grateful to be on here. Debbie, this is a remarkable time. I am just at this place where I have discovered my love for people and helping them to heal. So, what I have done is I have written a couple of books. I actually have written my story, which has truly brought so much transformation and so much healing to my life. And so let me share it.
Please do.
Walking
Walking,
away,
walking away.
mhm, winning the war against shame, abuse, AIDS, and abandonment. That is the cover,
Mm,
and that's me.
look at you, pretty girl.
So I've learned so much, in that process, even the process of writing it, and then the process of sharing it as well, because it was such a traumatic time in my life um, when I went through all the stuff that I went through, and even writing it was a chore
Yeah.
because what I learned was, and I learned this from um, the guy that did The Pursuit of Happiness, the movie that Will Smith was in.
Hmm.
And he shared something that, you know, imprinted in me. They were asking him when he did an interview, which was harder, to live what he lived or to write it. And he said that to write it was harder because living it, you don't have time to think about it. You're in the midst of trying to create and trying to be whoever it is that you're trying to be and trying to get your destiny and all this. He said, but writing it was harder because you had to, go back and relive it. You had to recreate it in your mind. And so many times we push things down and we push them back and we step on them and squash them, but when we bring it back up, it causes all kinds of grief and trouble, that we have inside of us that, we have to deal with that again, and so it was much the same for me because my ex-husband was a whore. And so I dealt with that for many years, and I just, I had just like a lot of women, I felt like I could change him, I could help him. He could be a better man, and he actually, he wasn't a bad man in other areas, but he just, he was a whore and he liked to sleep around. And so, as his karma came to him, he ended up being HIV positive. And I believe that because I believe in God and I trust in the spirit, that I was protected. One reason was because um, I did what I was supposed to do as a good wife. Even though he was cheating, I still was a good wife. I still protected him, and I still, took care of my kids, and I still treated him kindly. And these were things that was not easy to do. I mean, it was very difficult to treat somebody that is being abusive to you kindly. But I knew that that was something that I needed to do. And I found all this out at such a young age, and I was able to navigate through this. And there weren't very many people in my life that I could talk to about it, because people don't really understand. They're down on what they're not up on.
Hmm.
And so for me, in order to be able to just move in those spaces, when I decided to write this book, and I was called to write it actually. It was something that, I wrote this book actually 3 times. So the first time I wrote it, I had to put it on a computer that crashed. So that was gone. And then the second time I wrote it, I decided, okay, I'm going to print it out this time. So I printed it out and I left it in my storage back east when I moved west. And because of some of the things that I went through when I moved, I had no job, had a car note. I had to choose between, paying the car note and paying for the storage. So paying the car note won out. So I lost that copy in the storage. So I was like, okay, here we go again. So when it came back around again to write this story, I said, okay, I'm gonna write this. And then I wrote the story actually in about 30 days. But then I still sat on it for a little while between actually publishing because I still had to think about, you know, there were people that knew me that had no idea about my story, because it's not something that you share. And there
Right.
are not very many people that you can share it with and that could see the compassion because the people that did know that I shared, a little with were like, well, why are you still with him? Why? Why? And so I couldn't really explain it. I just knew that I wasn't released to leave him, that I wasn't released. And um, so it took me to a place where I began to seriously um, connect with the spirit in a way that I had not before. So yeah, so in sharing this story, it was like healing came, that I hadn't received. I'm a person that quickly forgives, so that's not even ever a problem. But I quickly forgive other people, I realize, and not always myself.
Mm.
So that's an area that I knew that I needed to step up. I knew I needed to forgive myself, because I had forgiven my ex husband and I forgave people even that were in our life that I felt contributed to that type of behavior. But I didn't all the way forgive myself. And I think I didn't even take that into consideration until I began to get on this particular healing journey
How
of
powerful
writing this
is that,
story.
Tony? I mean,
Hmm.
Tony, Tammy, Tammy. At least I can call you Karen.
Tammy.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Jeez, there's my blonde moment, right? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Like, and how many women are carrying around this inability to forgive themselves?
Yes. Lots of women. I mean, lots of women. It is so common. Um, we think that it's what we're supposed to do as women, because women are what? Carriers.
Mm.
You think about it in your womb. We're carriers. That's how we were built. That is what we were built for. And so we feel like we're supposed to carry, and especially if you're an empath, like we are,
Mhm.
you feel like you have to carry everything for everyone. And that just can't be the case because eventually you're going to wear out.
You got to put that backpack down. It is full
Yes.
of rocks that don't belong to you. Just let it
Yes.
go, right? But it's so hard. And, you know, what I think is as we've gotten to know each other, it's this strength, right, that I feel when I your energy is this inner strength, but with around it, it's like the cake with the frosting, right? Like this, it's this inner strength and this super sweet frosting on top. And how powerful it is for you. Like you, I know you must work with people to help them tell their stories and get it out as a healer.
Yes.
Because I'm like, just in this conversation right now, I'm like, okay, when I go to write my book, because it needs to come out,
Yes.
I need a healer, not a writer healer. I need a, or somebody, there's fantastic writers out there, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
who can help you? But you need somebody who's going to help
Intuitive.
intuitive to bring out what, okay, there's something else there. Let's go there, right? And
Yes.
then
Yes.
knowing that you got to process it, right? Like the divine gave you. three opportunities because it needed you to come to that forgiveness
Yes,
of self.
absolutely.
Oh,
And also, as we get older too, you look at things differently. Your view changes, your perception changes.
hmm
You get to the place. I don't know if it's because there probably are more years behind you than in front of you. You know?
hmm yeah,
I don't know if that's the case.
it
That's
is.
the
Yeah,
reason.
I'm in my 50s,
Right. We're in our
right?
50s, and that seems to be, something, because it's like, you realize that so many things that you took so seriously are really not that serious. Some things you take so seriously, they just don't mean nothing. They just don't, in the big scheme of things, and in all of life, because we begin to look at that, and we begin to see that that just didn't mean shit, in the big scheme of life, in the big scheme of all that is, that don't mean nothing, you
hmm
know? And as we get older, we begin to see that. You can see that even with your kids, because your kids will come back and thank you for, things that you did, and because you were, their mom and all that stuff when they get older, because they realize that, for one thing, you didn't have to do the shit that you did.
Right?
I know for me,
hmm
I did a lot of running around with my kids because I let them get in all kinds of, activities, because I knew that was necessary. I knew if they don't get in activities, they get in trouble.
Right?
So
Our
I
kids
did.
could have been in the same activity,
Exactly.
right?
And when
Same
I
thought.
did, I realized that, this is what we did, but now they come back and they're like, "Ma, my son, because now he's a father. He's like, "Well, mommy, I just want to tell you how much I love you and I appreciate you for, what you did." I said, "Yeah, because you see, it's not easy. It's not easy, and there's no blueprint, you know.
Right? I
So
I think I lost the manual along the way that came with them, and like
you got a manual? Shit, I didn't get one.
yeah. So now you can see the younger kids. Oh, I gotta go Google that, right? Like
Right?
there's probably a YouTube video now, right? In 30
Right.
seconds, you're gonna learn how to parent
Right, exactly.
or
Or
TikTok.
they listen, they read that what was that guy, Dr. Spot?
Oh my
You
gosh,
didn't
did
know
you
what the
ever
fuck
read
he was
him?
talking about.
Oh my gosh, I actually had that book, and I had that book. So I so what drives you? What's your vision?
Whoa.
You're like, oh,
So
we're gonna be here a while.
actually, that is one of those things that, it changes
hmm
because it's a fluid thing. And I've realized that, it's a living creature. It's not something that's dead. So what drove me yesterday might not drive me today. That's why I said that.
hmm
But I love to see the look on people's faces when they get that aha moment. Like if we're in a session and we're talking and they get this aha moment, because my job, I believe, is to help people to find that truth for themselves. And so, because I just truly don't believe in just telling you, I mean, if I see it and it's something that, we're talking about in this session or whatever, yeah, I'll share that. I'll say, this is what I see and this is what they're showing me, because I'm gifted in that way,
hmm
intuitive, and I see things and I hear things, and, all the things, see, hear, know, all that. And so I just get so excited, when people, get it, when it just comes to them, when we're in session and they say, "Oh my God, I'm a so and so, I'm a generator, or I'm a healer, or I'm a whatever," when their destiny just shows up for them, they start showing up for their destiny. That
Oh,
that lights me up,
oh, I just got goosebumps.
right?
Oh, because that is so in line, right? Like, oh,
Yes.
it's I I love that, like what lights you up now, and it is fluid because as we experience and unravel our own stories and continually grow, and we have that perspective. I love that you were able to, I mean, what a badass that you were able to take care of somebody who, you know he probably told you he didn't deserve it. I bet you he told you that too. I bet you he thanked you towards the end. Like, how did he deserve you?
Yeah, he actually did.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, after we got divorced, yeah, I would hear from him probably after a few years. I would hear from him probably at least a few times a month. And he would just tell me that, and I was grateful, for him to say that because it meant something to me, but not really. When I think about it,
Hmm.
it's like, no, what meant something to me was that I was able to forgive myself, because he actually did. He said, I don't think I'll have another wife better than you. And I said, you definitely won't.
Right?
But
Mic drop.
you know
No,
what I mean? And
no,
he
right?
he has one now, but hey, whatever. And so I'm just like I said, I'm super grateful that he has somebody to take care of him and that
Mhm.
it's not me.
Yeah. We wish you well.
You know?
I learned a lot about myself, right? Like,
Hey, it's
that's
all
how
good.
I reflect back too, right? Like, you know what? I chose to stay in a relationship that wasn't honoring me, and
Hmm.
you're a good guy, but that's on me. I can't, I don't take any of the icky stuff, but there's a lot of good too in these
Yeah.
relationships.
Oh
At
yeah.
least mine was, right? Like, there was
Oh
the
yeah.
good stuff, and then there was the bad stuff, and then at some point more of the bad stuff is happening, and then
Yes.
it's, and you got to go, but it's on you. It's not on them, and wherever they were at that time. I don't know about you, but I am so thankful for my son, right? Like,
Yes, yes.
the
That's
light.
I was gonna say that.
Hmm.
It's like the kids. The kids, I'm so grateful for them. And I because part of me is like I think about, I wish that I was met my current husband way back then and that we were able to have kids, because we
Hmm.
don't have any together. They have three and I have three. So we say we have a Brady bunch because it's three girls and three boys.
Oh, that is totally the.
Because he
It's,
had two girls and I had one,
hmm.
and then I have two boys and he has one boy. So we were like, okay, we have a Brady bunch, but there was a part of me that, was like, God, I just wish, I had met this one back then, but then I think about it like this and I say, well, he might not have been ready for me then. One of the things that I asked God for when I was writing down what I wanted in a husband, because that's another thing that I did. I wrote down qualities, you know, and not things like, good looking or anything. I didn't even care about that at this point. I was like, no, I'm looking for somebody to treat me kindly, somebody to love me like I need to be loved because, we all need to be loved differently. The way that you're loved is not the way that I'm loved, and that's just because we're different. We're humans. And so those were things that were on my list. I need somebody to love me the way I need to be loved, somebody to support me in the way that I need support. I need somebody with some good health insurance.
Yeah.
I got to be
Well, we're
practical.
practical too,
Yeah. So it's like, these are things that I had on my list, that I was asking God for, because I was like, I didn't want to have the same relationship. I didn't want to get the same man, is what I tell people. I say, and I think I need to do a workshop on that. I was like, you don't want to get the same man, because even though it's a different man, it's the same man. Energetically, they're the same. It's the same type of relationship, same type of energy. And many times I notice that women do not heal. They just jump from one relationship to another one. This guy's looking at me, so I'm going to go over here with him, and a lot of times they're the same man. It's the same man that they had.
hmm.
If he was abusive, this one's abusive. It might not be in the same way. You know, this one might be emotionally abusive, and this one might be physically abusive, or this one might be spiritually abusive. You know what I mean? So there's
Mhm.
all kinds of different ways, but you're looking at the same man, and a lot of times it's because you have not healed. You haven't spent time alone by yourself with spirit, you know, chilling in, you know, an environment where you need to be in, that's something that fills you up, that grows you, you know, some place
Mhm.
that lights you up, you know,
Mhm.
and we all have those places. But a lot of times, you know, women will do that, and I am a big proponent. I will tell them all the time. I was like, don't jump right from one relationship to another. You know, I say that, and my current husband's divorce was final 15 days before we got married, you know, and I qualify that, you know, because we were together all before that, and he was still married, but he'd been separated for a few years. You know, men don't always jump up and take care of that kind of stuff quickly if the woman doesn't want to. That I
Mhm.
learned. And so,
Mhm.
you know, we did that because that thing out way longer than it should have been. I mean, they could have been done in like 3 months, but it was over a year. And so, yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, let me see. I
So,
got divorced in 2009,
mhm.
and I didn't get remarried till 2016. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I don't tell everybody to take that kind of time if you don't need it. But for me, I needed it. You know,
Yeah,
needed that
I gotcha because I
mhm.
needed it too.
Yeah, just to be
So,
by yourself and figure
so
out what the hell you want.
yeah, so you need to go do that as a workshop, right? Like it obviously came up when we're both impasse here, exchanging all this energy. So go write it down, go do it. So here's my, so most of my listeners are newer, right, to this whole spiritual stuff, right? They're
Yes,
exploring, they're curious, like they think that, like we're normal people living normal lives. Well, most of us are normal anyway. No, I'm kidding. We're all
you
normal,
normal
right?
girl.
Like, what's normal, right? Like, we were trying to be normal, but we weren't normal. And
Right?
now we own what makes us so unique and what makes us so great.
Yes, yes.
And so if somebody's listening and they're like, okay, so I love this Tammy. So when they're new, they don't understand the crock pot, right? Like you'll go and you take Reiki, you'll go take chronic healing, you'll go take uh, you know
Yeah,
numerology, right? Like you throw it all in and then we blend it. But when you're new, people are like, well, what's that? What's that? So if you had to, like, I don't know, I don't want to say claim something, right? But what do you want people to know? Like, oh, so Tammy does, like,
energy healing.
she does the energy healing.
Because the thing
Mhm,
is just like we talked before about Reiki and all that, because you and I are similar in that way.
mhm,
That's where we started. That's where we cut our teeth, was Reiki.
mhm.
And to me, just like you, Reiki was something that opened me up to energy. And it had me um yeah, open. You know, it's like the gateway to energy. You know?
Right? I think it is. I think it's the super highway now,
It
right?
is,
Like,
because everybody's doing it, and you know, and the thing about it is too that I learned is that everybody don't do it the same either.
mhm,
You know, people do what they do, and I believe it's Reiki was just one of the things that called us, you know, called to us.
mhm.
And then as we discovered Reiki, then we discovered all these other things, sacred soul alignments, you know, theta healing, you know, I'm a a sacred soul alignment practitioner, a theta healer, a Reiki master, and a radical guide DNA activation practitioner. So all of those things. But I just believe that they all comprise the energy healing. Because for me, there are I do that other people don't do,
Mhm,
you know, and I know this.
mhm,
And so, you know, and it doesn't, to me, it doesn't make you any less of anything if you do it differently, but because we all do. And I think just like you said, we just embrace that part of it. You know, we embrace the fact that, because even for me, I called myself an energy shifting practitioner because that's what I believe that I do. You know, I shift the energy everywhere that I go. When I go to work, I shift the energy. When I go to the grocery store, I shift the energy.
Mm-hmm.
When I go in the metaphysics shop, hell, they fucking feel the energy and they start following me and shit. You know,
Right.
so that is the
Uh,
part of it. Even with the writing,
mm-hmm.
I shift energy with that.
Mm.
Because there are articles that I've written that when I went back and read them, I was like, damn, girl.
Oh, right. Like I just, and how powerful is that to how many of us have a story, right? The healing in the story, even if it's
Yes,
for your own self. I
yes.
just, I honestly just see, so, like my angels that are here right now, and they're like, well, she needs to help people tell their story
Mm-hmm.
and do the work. And so I would say, if they're listening and they know that there's something there, right? It could only be for themselves. It's not like they don't have to publish it. But
Right.
to write it and to help or say, "Oh, I don't know how to write." Well, that's resistance.
Yes.
That's what we call
Abs-
it, right? Like
Yes.
it's a block. That's an energy block.
Hmm.
So reach out for somebody who's going to hold you in this space
Yes.
to walk you through that.
Absolutely.
And Tammy, that's a gift to the world of how many people need to hear their story and know that they have value with telling their story. Oh, my goodness.
Yep. And I honestly, I'm like you. I can go in the grocery store and people will start sharing their damn story. Like I had talked to me across my damn forehead.
Well,
I'm
you
going to get
do.
some
You
butter.
do, right?
Girl, I'll be in the store like I came to get some butter. I didn't come to hear your damn story. I feel that like for like a half a second, and then I listen to their story. And a lot of times, they'll share their story, and then they'll say, "Well, what do you think about? What do you think?" And I'm thinking to myself, "I don't think nothing. I don't even know you."
Hmm.
But
Right?
then it comes out because we're healers, and that's what we do. And then I'll say, "Well, have you thought about so and so and so and so?" And they'll be like, "Oh no, I never thought about that." I'm like, well, you should check that out.
Right? Right? So, we could stay here all night and talk. Well, actually, we have,
Right,
right? Right?
right.
My sister from another mother. And when people see the video, they'll go, "What?"
Yeah,
Really? We're soul sisters.
I've had
So,
that before. It's all good.
right? It's all good. So, how can people reach you? What's your social
So,
media? What do you,
so you can reach me social media, Facebook, Instagram. Facebook, you can reach me Tammy Morrison, or you can reach me Unleashing Your True Self, which is the name of my business. On Instagram is I am Tammy Y Morrison. On LinkedIn is Tammy Morrison Unleashing Your True Self. YouTube is Tammy Morrison. Let me see. Twitter is Tammy Morrison 16. Have no idea
Mhm.
why I did that, but
Sweet 16.
right? It wasn't even a really good year for me.
Well, we're going
And
to
then
replace that belief, right? Like,
right, and then you can
mhm.
reach me also on my website, which is thetammymorrison.com.
Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you
Well, it
so
was the only
much,
thing that was
Tammy.
available.
Yeah, I am, I just feel so blessed that I have this opportunity for us to talk
Yes,
and, share this light that you are to the world. And I highly recommend anybody, we all have a story. We all
yes,
have a story to tell.
yes, we
And,
do.
Tammy is your girl. You need to get that story out and let the healing. Remember her story of having to write it 3 times and having done some of my own writing over some really painful areas. It is so healing.
Yes,
Like there's nothing like it. So I would invite everybody who's listening to this to reach out to Tammy. I will put her contact information in her bio
yes.
in the show notes. And so until we talk again,
Oh yeah, and also if they are on Facebook and they
mhm,
want to join my group, which is called Writing from Your Soul, Sharing to Heal, they can check that out as
join
well.
it. Join
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
because you'll see me in there too.
I was gonna say because we're I'm so super excited about it, but I just did a 4-day masterclass series in there about the spiritual gifts. And I'm also looking around to see who's in there. I've been inviting people to come and do different trainings and stuff
Hmm.
like healing, the sound healing. I got a girl that's supposed to have been doing it. So
Oh,
really,
love
really
sign healing.
yeah, I love it. So I'm looking at that, and then people that do EFT, I'm looking at them to come and do a thing in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm really, really, really ramping up the healing because I realize that writing is healing,
Hmm.
sharing is healing. And the thing is you don't have to share. You don't have to share to the world. You can just write it for yourself.
Right.
Because that writing, any type of writing is healing, even just, even when you do brain dumps, which is
Hmm.
something I'm going to do a training on, and also automatic
Yeah.
so I was
There's my fur baby. I have warned
gonna say
people
your
all
fur baby
on
sound like
my
it's in my house.
episode that the fur baby is like, okay,
It's time to go.
it's time to go.
Okay,
So,
so
so,
yes, I
so
appreciate you,
thank
Kevin.
you, Tammy. I love you, girl, and we will chat soon. And I will put everything in here. And so, thank you all. Until next time, stay safe,
Yep, yep.
and we will talk and be back later, folks. Thanks.